crops our freedom plans, the photos. You know what I'm talking about? You know what it means when you crop a photograph? Like some of your Facebook profile photo right now, and you've cropped your ex-boyfriend out of your Facebook profile photograph. You know what I'm talking about? Because you like the way your hair looked that day, and so you just are going with that one, you know. And some of you, your friends are always saying to you things like in your Twitter profile pic, I'm actually in that photograph, thank you very much. But no, I cropped you out. And that's what the enemy does when we come up with these great freedom plans of ours. It's like my wife and I, we went on our honeymoon, and we were poor. I was a grad student. We literally did not have any money to go on a honeymoon. And back in these days, I know this is crazy, it's before computers, so hello. And you actually had to go to a travel store, I know, crazy, and look at brochures to see where you wanted to go on a vacation. I know, just go home and look up brochure online when you get home. Figure that out, right? And so I went to the travel place, and I was looking for Caribbean honeymoon destinations. And oh, wow, we got some Caribbean people here. And I finally, nice. That's why this night's going good. I finally found one, and it was perfect. And I have hotel room anxiety. I don't know if anybody has this or not, but you have to have the right room facing the right view on the right floor, and everything has to be right. If it's not, you go back to the desk and get another room. And if that was not right, some of you know people like that. God bless them. I'm one of those people. So I knew exactly from the brochure what room I wanted. We got there, the property was amazing. We'd flown down to the Caribbean, we checked in, we could only stay, 4 days and 3 nights, It's really just the 3 days and 3 nights, but they kind of add on that 4th day and 3rd night. That doesn't exist. So 5 days and 4 nights, you're there 4 days. And so we check in, we get up to the room. First thing I want to do is walk out on the balcony because I want to see that view in the brochure. We walk out, open the door, and when we open the door, I see the view, but what they don't tell me in the brochure is that in our little cove of the beach, which is just like they said it was going to be, but just on the other little curve of the beach was a graveyard for old boats, and that there were approximately 1,000 rusted, broken down, barnacle-encrusted boats of every shape and size piled up on the hillside. And when we opened our doors, we saw the pool like we were supposed to, and the beach like we were supposed to, but then we saw, for the whole 4 days and 3 nights, a junkyard of boats. And I was like, where's that in the brochure? That was conveniently cropped out of the photograph. You been there? Anybody been there? You saw the picture on the website? Now you're at the Hampton Inn and you're like, where's the pool? It's right there. No, the one on the website. Where's that pool? The one with the glasses of lemonade, and the little towel folded up on the table and the sun. Where's that? Cropped out of the photo. And that's what the enemy does to me. And that's what he does to you. When we come up with these freedom plans, he conveniently crops out all the disaster. And we sit down on a path that leads us like this first son to the very bottom of the barrel. You know what this story is telling us is that we've got to let God help us zoom out before we dive in. This son hit rock bottom. And when he did, he came up with a plan. And it actually was a really good plan. He said, here I am, I'm broke, my friends are gone, the party's over, I took a job with this pig farmer, I'm eating pig food, I'm starving to death, and I'm thinking to myself, the guys that work for my dad back on my dad's property are better off than I am. So here's what I'm going to do. He had a 4-part plan. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go back, I've got a speech in mind. I'm going to say to my dad, here was his speech. Dad, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. If you'll just take me back and make me like one of your hired men. I know I'm never going to get sonship again. I'm never going to get that kind of status again. I'm never going to be first rate with you again. But just make me like one of the hired men. He said, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go back. I got my speech and I'm going to take whatever I can get from my dad. But here's the crazy thing about this story. He didn't know what was on the other side of the equation because Jesus is telling this story, and Jesus came from the Father full of grace and full of truth, and Jesus is a game changer, people. And when the story changes at this moment, I'm telling you, in the culture, in the day of Jesus, when the story changes at this point, people gasped when Jesus was telling this story. We've all heard it a lot of us, and we're like, oh yeah, this and that and the other. These people were like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is he saying what I think he's saying? Because here's what happened. The son gets up, the son comes back, he's got his speech in his pocket, he's ready to go and to take whatever he can get when he gets back. But when the father, it says, here's what the father did. The father saw him a long way off. Do you know what that means? It means the father never turned his back on his son. He never turned his back. The son turned his back on the father and walked away as far as he could get, but the father never turned his back on the son. And it said, and when he saw him, Jesus said, the father ran to his son. Now this is the crazy part of the story, because in the day and age of Jesus, men didn't run in public. It was undignified. It was to lower yourself, because men had a position and it was stately. And you certainly wouldn't run after a son who had trashed your name and trashed your family and destroyed your wealth and made a mockery of your very statehood and personality. But it says, when the father saw him, it makes me think that he kept watching the road. He kept watching the road thinking, maybe this is the day he hits rock bottom. Maybe this is the day he turns back for home. And if he does, I'm watching and I'm looking and I'm watching to see. And here he comes. And it's not like there's fanfare. We're talking about ragtag, stinky, a coat of crud on it. But he still knows it. And it says, and the father ran. He's running. He's running. The servants on the porch never seen him run before. So he takes off and they're like, what just happened? What's he doing? Where's he going? They don't see the son because they're not looking for the son. But the father, when he gets there, it says he throws his arms around the son. Can you imagine the son? The son's got his speech, right? But he knows he's close to home and he's scared to death. And he's never seen his father run before. Not like this. And then he's like, oh no. Oh no. And he's thinking, I gotta turn around. I need to hightail it out of here. I've never seen my dad this mad before. I have never, get the speech. I'm sitting in the chair. I know where to get ready. He's getting closer. He's thinking, he's just bracing himself. And all of a sudden, his dad's arms open. And his dad just grabs his son. Come on, people, this was not some little... This was not some little ecclesiastical greeting. Oh, hello, son. Well, amen. Coming back home. He's twirling his son around. He's yelling into the air, this is my son! This is my son. He said he's kissing the son. The son's got pig crud on his face. And the father doesn't care. He's kissing his son. He's hugging his son. He's yelling and twirling. The servants finally get there. They're like, what's going on? What's going on? He said, hello, this is my son. He was dead and he's alive. He was lost. He is found. He was running his son. He said, hey, get a robe and put it on my son. Get a ring and put it on his finger. Get shoes and put it on his feet. And then he turns to the other servant and says, and call the party headquarters because we're celebrating tonight. Kill that big fat cat that we've been saving because we are having a party in our house tonight because my son was dead and he is alive. He was lost and he's found and they celebrated him.
Take a breath.
Celebrated them. I'm telling you, please, this is the story of the gospel. And in every story, why did Jesus tell 3 stories? Because maybe we would have missed it in 1. Maybe we would have missed it in 2. Maybe we could have missed it in 3. But certainly not. When they found the sheep, it said the shepherd called his friends together and said, rejoice with me, for I have found my lost sheep. And then Jesus said, I tell you that in the same way, are we hearing this tonight? There will be much more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents and over 99 righteous people who don't believe. She found the coin, and it says she called her friends and her neighbors together, and she said, rejoice with me, I found my lost coin. In the same way, I tell you, there's rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. And then when the son comes up the road, the father says, we're having a party tonight. Now, you may not be a dancer. Honest to God, I'm not a dancer. I dread going to weddings. And I do weddings, so that's a problem. And you know there's going to be a reception unless it's a real, straight-laced religious teachers of the law wedding. You know somebody's going to dance. At some point, I'm like, I don't know how to dance. I'm not good at dancing. So I'm always like, honey, I need to get home, especially if it's on a Saturday night. We got church tomorrow, and we should get on home. And I just get out the door, and I just feel like a wimp, But I'm a recovering bad dancer. Travis, Chris's drummer, got married to Claire a few months ago, and I had the privilege of doing their wedding. And it was in an art gallery, and the wedding was up front, and the reception was in the middle, and the dance floor was in the back, all in one big room. You couldn't get out of there, man. There was no we're all sitting at the table having the reception, and I think it was Claire's parents got up and started dancing, and they were kind of like older, which you love it, right? We're not talking about kids dancing here, we're talking about people dancing. And they started doing that kind of, this kind of thing that, they've been doing their whole life together and twirling from Texas and sort of throwing some kind of two-steppy thing in there or whatever. I don't know, maybe they're not from Texas. I don't know what they were doing, but they were doing something cool that I don't know how to do. And everybody was just watching them, and I'm just dreading it, I'm dreading it. And finally I said, this is it right here. This is D-Day for me, right here, right now. The band's playing this amazing, southern funk groove, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. I said, I'm done. I just stood up from the table, true story, you can ask anybody here, and said, come on, grab my wife by the hand, say, come on, honey, we're going to dance. She's looking at me like, who are you? I'm like, looking out there, look at Tomlin, his wife, Lauren, come on, folks, we're going. Crowder, his wife, come on, we're going. You guys, come on. Pastor's leading the way. We're dancing. So here we go. And we just got our church leadership up there, and we're dancing. I cannot dance, but I decided that when these young couple commits their lives together to the glory of God, and we're celebrating their future, old guy ought to be able to get up and dance just a little bit. But if we played some Frank Sinatra in here, would anybody dance? Okay, a few. Would Frankie Valli get anybody dancing? How about Elvis? If we played Elvis, would it get anybody dancing? Okay, James Brown, get anybody moving? I'm just trying to think of all the great dance revolutions. MC Hammer. MC Hammer, get anybody? How about Psy? Little Gangnam Style. I get anybody? What if we did the Harlem Shake? Could anybody get but mercy moves us even more. And we're not talking about dancing because of music tonight. We're talking about dancing because of the mercy of God. His son came home, and he was loved and embraced and restored and celebrated. And on that night, he came alive on God's great dance.